The waves crashed gently against the rocky shore of Cape Cod, Massachusetts, as the old lighthouse stood tall against the evening sky. Every sunset painted the ocean with shades of gold and crimson, creating a view that tourists traveled hundreds of miles to see. For Michael Hayes, the lighthouse was more than a tourist attraction. It was where he escaped whenever life became too loud. At 31, Michael worked as an emergency room doctor in Boston. His days were filled with saving lives, but his own heart felt empty after years of putting work before everything else. One Friday evening, as he stood watching the sunset, he noticed a young woman sitting on the rocks with a sketchbook in her hands. She wasn't drawing the lighthouse. She was drawing the people who came to see it. Curious, Michael walked closer. "Why don't you draw the lighthouse?" he asked. The woman smiled without looking up. "Because buildings don't tell stories." She looked at him. "People do." Her name was Claire Morgan, a 29-year-old illustrator who had recently moved to Cape Cod after leaving a stressful advertising career in New York. That evening they talked until the stars filled the sky. Before leaving, Claire smiled. "I come here every Friday." Michael answered, "So do I." Every Friday became theirs. They watched sunsets, shared fish and chips from a small seaside cafe, walked along quiet beaches, and laughed about everything from childhood dreams to embarrassing first jobs. As summer turned to autumn, their friendship quietly became love. One evening, Claire showed Michael a sketchbook filled with drawings. Every page was about him, the way he smiled at strangers, the way he looked at the ocean, the way he always stopped to help people without expecting anything in return. Michael looked at her in amazement. "You noticed all of this?" Claire smiled. "I noticed the people worth remembering." For the first time in years, Michael believed he had found the person he wanted to spend forever with. Then life interrupted. Michael received an offer to lead a humanitarian medical mission in Alaska for 1 year. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to help remote communities, but it meant leaving Claire. The night before his departure, they met at the lighthouse. "I don't want to ask you to wait," Michael whispered. Claire gently held his hand. "I'm not waiting because I have to. I'm waiting because you're worth it." Every Friday for the next year, Claire returned to the lighthouse alone. She filled another sketchbook, not with pictures of herself, but with memories of Michael. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away in Alaska, Michael carried one of Claire's drawings inside his jacket every single day. Whenever the work became difficult, he looked at it and remembered why he wanted to come home. Exactly 1 year later, on the first Friday of autumn, Claire arrived at the lighthouse as she always had. The sun slowly disappeared beneath the horizon. She sighed. Then she heard familiar footsteps behind her. You never missed a Friday. She turned around. Michael stood there smiling. Before she could say a word, he wrapped her in a long embrace. "I made a promise to come back, and I always keep my promises." As the lighthouse switched on for the evening, Michael reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. He knelt on one knee. "Claire Morgan, you taught me that people tell the greatest stories. Will you let us spend the rest of our lives writing ours together?"
Claire wiped away happy tears. She smiled. Yes. The lighthouse beams swept across the ocean as nearby visitors applauded. 1 year later, they were married on the beach beneath the lighthouse where their story had begun. Today, visitors still come to watch the sunset. Many never notice the small wooden bench nearby. A brass plaque reads, "Some people wait for sunsets. We waited for each other." And every Friday evening, Michael and Claire still return to that lighthouse, not because they need to remember where they met, but because it's the place that reminds them that true love is worth waiting for.